Hello, universe. Josh here. I want to talk about original sin. Now, original sin in the Christian sense is the idea that you're born with an invisible stamp on your soul that says sin and you're going to hell. And this is on everybody's soul. They're born with it. And the only way to get rid of it is to pray a prayer to Jesus and to ask him to remove it, get rid of it for you. You can't really, there's no atonement you can make. You can't fix it any other way. Now, a lot of people object to this for various reasons. People who don't believe in God might object to it on the basis of, well, you can't see it. It doesn't appear anywhere. It doesn't seem to exist. So there's no reason for it. Muslims object to the idea of original sin based on the idea that you can't be held accountable. They believe you can't be held accountable for someone else's sin. And, of course, in Christianity, that's what is believed, is that the reason we have this original sin is because of Adam and Eve, and because they sinned, and God thus cursed all of creation, including humanity. And that's why creation sucks. And that's why we have wars and disease and things like that. I mean, there's good things in the world too, but mainly that's why we have evil. Various other people reject original sin on the grounds that its only use is to control people. And you get this claim about the Catholic Church, about how they use guilt to control people and make them do what they want, and like that. And this is the cause of alienation for a lot of people from various churches, not just the Catholic Church, but all kinds of other churches. Now, so where does the idea of original sin come from? Well, Christians believe that it just is. That's how it happened. You know, God created things one way, we had free will, we chose the other way, and that's the way it is. So they don't believe that if there's anything to do with necessarily control in it, it just happens to be a useful tool to get people to do what you want. And really, that's not what it's not what honest Christians want. But where does original sin come from, and why should we just get rid of it? Well, I think actually original sin has some merit, and I think that empirically it's actually true, but I'd have to redefine it a little bit. And I think original sin at its base, and the reason why we have it originally, is because all it is it means we can do better. It means we as humans have more potential than we're living up to. And so original sin might represent the idea that, we don't have enough money, or, we're hungry today, so we go and eat, and we go and fulfill our desires and our needs. And so original sin is kind of our motivation for doing anything at all. And this is similar to the Buddhist idea of all of life being suffering, and the way to get out of it is to detach yourself and have no desires. Get rid of all desires, and then you'll be okay. Okay, so if original sin is that, then yeah, it is true. We all have it, and we're born with it. And unfortunately, we can never escape it. However, we're always escaping a little bit of it, and in our day-to-day lives, we're always acquiring things that we need, and we're always moving from one state to another. So the cure for original sin is simply moving forward, progress. Instruction is a key to original sin, and I think this is where we begin to see actual philosophical discussions of a cure for what ails humanity, and that is that teaching and wisdom and knowledge can help us to overcome those needs and wants that we have and desires. So therefore, the answer, the cure to the initial problem, the human condition, is figuring it out, is working it out with reason and logic and wisdom. And we see this in some of the ancient philosophers, and we see the idea that the spiritual realm is the key to is the most true realm. It's the key to figuring out what's going on, really. But then the second cure, there is a second cure for original sin, and that's acceptance, because you can't think your way out of every situation. I mean, we have human limitations. That's what I mean by original sin, and that's why I say it's real. And it's not about guilt. It's just acknowledging a real thing that's a reality for all of us. One of the ways we cure it is to cure sin is through instruction and through action. The other way, though, has to be through acceptance and acknowledgement, and sometimes there are things that you can't change. And this is where I believe, well, this is the Buddhist philosophy, but this is also where I believe that Christ comes in with his idea of forgiveness. And what I mean by that is in one of the Gospels, we see Christ healing a person. But before he does, he says, he comes upon a lame person, and he says, your sins are forgiven. That's what he says. And that's all he says. And then the religious people around him are like, okay, aren't you going to heal him? Like, what's going on here? And then Jesus is like, well, isn't it better to just forgive his sins? And so, but then he changes his mind and he says, okay, you're healed too. And so he says, get up and walk. And so the guy gets up and walks. But I think what this demonstrates about original sin is that original sin was not the fact that this man had sinned, or that his parents had sinned, or that Adam and Eve sinned. It was the fact that being crippled in itself is a sin. And this is what I would have to say, like everything bad is a sin. And it's up to him to either live with it or to get up and walk. And so the first thing that Jesus did was, he said, your sins are forgiven. This is accepted. You're now past that. Was that profound? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It didn't really say what the guy thought. And then, after that was accepted and the sin was forgiven and moved beyond, then he was able to, then Jesus healed him. So that's my thoughts on original sin. It's not anything invisible, or it's not a stamp. It's just an acknowledgement of the reality of the way things are in the world, and the acknowledgement that there are limitations on being human. And the reason that Christ is important, or whatever deity is important, is simply to, well, in one sense, is to unite people and to have a common belief system. But the other thing is just his teachings on forgiveness and on being accepting and happy no matter your circumstances. Now, I'm not saying Jesus, well, he didn't exactly fight his crucifixion, so maybe he took it too far. But I mean, there obviously there should be action too, and I don't know about that. I don't know, but yeah, that's my take on original sin, and I believe that Christ's death is a method of instruction and in how to acknowledge our sin, and by sin I mean our shitty conditions here on earth, and move past them. And that's all I have to say about that, I think, for now. I may have left some things out, but oh well. This is too long now anyways. I have to edit it down. Okay, so thanks for listening.